when I went to a Bills-Jets game in New Jersey. We were running late to the game, and we're trying to get into the stadium. And I had my beanie on, I had a bigger beard at the time. One of the guys tailgating goes, "Hey, Fitz, hurry up! The game's starting!" I think he would do a good job playing me in a movie. The Rifle. My name's Dave Meyers, account executive with Complete Payroll. I work out of the Rochester office, but for 2 years I was working as a customer service representative up at headquarters in Perry. I like being out of the office, out meeting new people, meeting new businesses. It's been a nice transition. I moved out to Leroy in 9th grade. I was born and raised in Greece, in Rochester. At the time, it was just my mom, my big brother Danny, my little brother Scott. And when we moved out to Leroy, we joined families, and I gained a brother Michael and a sister Shelby. As an 8th grader going into 9th grade, I thought I was really moving out to the country. Everybody was going to be riding tractors to school, but I was lucky to make the move. You know, I think that Leroy was a great landing spot for me. Everything ended up the way it should be because I ended up meeting my wife quite a few years later. My wife's name is Tara. She is pregnant with our first child. We're halfway done now as we shoot this video. We're due in July. She is the hardest working woman that I know, and she comes from a great family. Very lucky to have her side of the family as mine. We recently moved to Churchville. It makes commute a lot easier, and we're around a lot more restaurants too, which is nice. So my favorite thing about being in Rochester is being closer to friends and family. A lot of great music and food venues that I'm still exploring. The Garbage Plates.
Where's the best garbage plate?
I'm a little out of the game, but I'd probably have to say Dogtown. That was the last one that really stuck in my memory. So my favorite restaurant would have to be the North Chilai Family Restaurant. It's right down the road from our new house that we bought in Churchville. We stopped there after we went to the initial open house. We joked with them the next time that we stopped in. We said, "You're the reason why we bought the house where we did." I mean, everything that I've gotten there has just been fantastic. But I'm a sucker for sausage gravy and biscuits. Can't go wrong. My favorite band is and always will be Modest Mouse. Been a fan since high school and seen many of their shows. I can't really dial down a favorite song at the moment. Just been consuming podcasts left and right. Big fan of Joe Rogan and all the different comedians that he has on the show. Superbad. My favorite movie of all time will forever be Superbad. But as of late, A Quiet Place with John Krasinski. Big fan. Excited for the second one. My favorite sports team is the New York Jets, and that's tough to say because I am in thick Buffalo Bills country. When they're not facing the Jets, I'll root for the Bills. Iron Man. My favorite superhero is Iron Man. He's just himself, and he's pretty heroic at the end. Spoiler alert. My favorite hot drink would be coffee. Feels weird saying. I'm far from a coffee snob. My mom comes over for a cup of coffee on Sunday morning sometimes, and she always complains about how weak it is. I can't stir a spoon in her coffee. So, favorite place to unwind would have to be Alexandria Bay, up in the Thousand Islands. We've been going as a family since we moved to Leroy 12, 13 years ago. We actually own a place up there now. We rent out some cottages, and there's nothing quite like sitting on the bank of the St. Lawrence River and relaxing, or maybe going out on the boat. So, the perfect day, probably wake up smelling like a campfire from the night before. Maybe take a dip in the river, and then sit down, have a cup of coffee with Tara. Hop out on the boat, maybe head to the sandbar for the day with everybody. You know, sometimes we'll bring a little grill out there with us. Sometimes we'll jump off the boat, just spend the day swimming, relaxing, spending time with family. Head back to shore and grill out. Maybe go see some fireworks if it's the 4th of July, time of the year that we always make our way. And that's actually where I proposed to my wife, was up in the Thousand Islands in Clayton. So that's great. Quote that I live by is, "You don't know what you like until you try it twice." For example, the first time I had an oyster, it just wasn't a properly fresh oyster. But my buddy worked at a nice restaurant, and he shucked oysters at the bar, an oyster bar. And I told him, "Nah, oysters aren't for me." And he cracked it open for me, set it on a plate, and said, "No, you're gonna like this one." It was fresh, and I can't get enough of them now. So, compassion. I think that's what brings us together as people. If you can look past somebody's mistakes or forgive somebody, it just makes for better relationships between your family, really the world, which I know kind of sounds cliche, but if everybody was a little more compassionate and understanding, grudges are pointless. So a fact that amazes me every time I think about it, if the sun was the size of a door, the earth would be the size of a nickel up against it. It makes you wonder how small we really are in the grand scheme of the universe. Going back to the Joe Rogan podcast, makes you question things. So if I could have a meal with anybody, alive or dead, famous-wise, I think it would be Anthony Bourdain. He always said that you can learn a lot about somebody just by sharing a meal with them. He was very well traveled in his life, and the people that he met and the experiences. Big fan of Anthony Bourdain. Yeah, so my favorite thing about Complete Payroll is that from the roots, from its start, it's always been about family. It's always been about treating your clients as family and your employees as family. And the company's been nothing but great to me and helping me advance my career. When I was working as a customer service representative, I was helping all of our clients on a day-to-day basis. So I was aware of all of the tiny little things that could pop up that a lot of people don't think about when it comes to payroll. And now that I'm out in the sales field, it's good to know those things. It's good to be able to speak as to how Complete Payroll is going to be a lot different than your current provider. We practice the human touch. That's my favorite part about Complete Payroll. From the start to the finish, it's a very smooth process. Payroll country to me is really about integrity. From our hiring process, making sure that we're hiring the right people who are going to serve our clients properly, all the way until being in front of a prospect and a potential client, setting realistic expectations. Sometimes things aren't meant to be, and we don't force our product upon you. If your payroll's not broken, there's no need to fix it, and we understand that. But when the day comes and your payroll is broken, you'll remember to call Dave.